Hey everybody, Coach Mark here. And before we dive into today's topic, make sure to find me on Instagram as Coach Mark Estrubio. Also, I offer one-to-one coaching. It's what I do full-time. Odds are really good. I'd love to work with you. But with that being said, let's get into it. It's the day you've all been waiting for. Conjugate Kaiju 2 has arrived. So a little over a year back, I released a program, Conjugate Kaiju, and this wound up being my most popular program. It is a strongman off-season program really focused on building quality mass. And Kaiju 2 obviously just aims to expand upon that. So you're going to see a lot of things such as density protocols, a bi-weekly max effort protocol, as well as targeted training. This program has lower absolute intensity than some other programs I've put out, but that's by design because at day's end, this is a mass gaining program, not a peak program. You'll also notice that there's a lot of volume for the upper back and arms. For athletes who are moving up a weight class, these often tend to be areas that need a bit more volume to be successful. Now, as a quick note, there is a spreadsheet available to go with this program here at the link that you see on screen or in the PDF when you get it. And the entire idea with this is it just helps auto-calculate suggested top sets for your deadlift variations, helps you track your squat progression for the box squat, as well as gives you the loads for your main squat for the hypertrophy variation. I'm going to ask you, please not share and distribute this spreadsheet. The ebook's free. Come on. The split itself is a pretty typical 4-day split, 2 lower, 2 upper. 2 of them are intensive days, 2 of them are developmental days. Remember, these are kind of my analogs for max and dynamic effort, whereas instead of speed work, we're doing more volume or density type work, and instead of max effort work, we're doing heavy top sets. So you'll notice the split is laid out a little differently. It starts with lower intensive and then goes to upper developmental, and this is by design due to the amount of back volume that you're going to see on the lower intensive day. Now, you could rearrange these days as you like, however order you prefer, but in general, don't lift more than 2 days in a row, nor should you take more than 2 days in a row off. And like all of my programs, there are suggested progressions for the accessory work, but you can always pick and choose which ones you like. But when in doubt, follow what I wrote out. So we're starting the week off with lower intensive. Your main movement is going to be a stiff leg deadlift, then a deadlift stance box squat, a row of your choosing, lat pull downs, kelso shrugs, back extensions, ab wheel, and air bike. And something you could consider doing, depending on what row variation you're doing, is actually moving the shrugs up so they go before the vertical pull, specifically so you can superset the row and the kelso shrug. That's a superset I really enjoy doing, but your mileage may vary. So for your lower max effort day or lower intensive day, the main movement is going to be a stiff leg deadlift variation. For the first 4 weeks, that's going to be a deficit stiff leg deadlift. And don't go crazy here. 2 to 3 inches of deficit is plenty, or you could even swap that out for a snatch grip if you prefer. Then after those 4 weeks, you're going to move to a stiff leg deadlift. Each week, you're simply working up to a top set and then doing a couple back down sets. You'll also note in weeks 5 and 7 that you are not performing max effort sets, but instead you're doing sets across just to act as a bit of a fatigue management strategy. Additionally, if you do opt for this spreadsheet, you can actually type in your raw deadlift 1 rep max, and it's going to generate some suggested attempts for you for each week's top set. Now, the second movement on this day is a deadlift stance box squat, and I strongly suggest using either an SSB or a camber bar if you have access to it. And as far as the box depth goes, just a little above parallel is what we're looking for. And again, deadlift with stance, this is for building your deadlift. You're going to start at 40 to 50% of your best raw deadlift and simply add 3 to 5% based off of your performance each session. So you'll see here on the screen now there are 4 weeks of what it might look like if your deadlift raw max is 635. And in the spreadsheet, if you were to get it, what'll happen is you can type in your deadlift, and then every week you type in how many reps you attained, and then it would actually give you a suggested load for the following week. Then last but certainly not least on the lower intensive day are air bike intervals, or this could be any other cardio piece you have access to, a ski erg, a rower if you prefer. And the thesis of having this conditioning in as part of a mass gain protocol is just to keep you from getting sloppy. A lot of athletes will eat way too many calories, they rush their bulk, and they drop their conditioning. So then what happens is they get bigger, but they wind up falling behind because now they don't have the aerobic fitness to handle moving around at their heavier body weight. Ready, day 2 is our upper developmental day. It's going to start with a 40-degree incline press, dumbbell bench, glute raises, face pulls, then 2 supersets of seated dumbbell curls and 1-arm tricep press downs. And then the second superset is a preacher curl and a 40-degree incline Tate press. Of course, you have substitutions available. And depending on what progressions you opt for your movements, you may not be able to do supersets, and that's fine. This is simply a way of helping trim a little time. Now, we're opting for the 40-degree incline press on this day specifically to give your low back a bit of a break after all the deadlifting and relevant accessories on day one. And what you'll notice here is for the first 4 weeks, we're actually doing a dumbbell 40-degree incline and we're doing a density set. So you're just going to pick a weight you could do for sets of 10 to 12 and you're going to try and get maximum reps in a given amount of time. Or in week 2, you're going to stay in that 15-minute window and simply try to add reps. And then in week 5 onward, you're doing a 2-board 40-degree incline press. And if you don't have a max on this variation, I recommend using something around 90% or so of your best log push press and adjusting from there, because as you'll see here in week 6, 7, 8, you have the ability to adjust the load based off how you're feeling. Day 3 is our lower developmental day, and we're going to start with a hamstring curl before moving into a superset of the front squat and a vertical pull. Now, you don't have to do a front squat. You can obviously swap that out for any squat variation you like. Regardless of which squat you do choose, the reason we do the hamstring curl first is it's an old trick from John Meadows. Kind of helps the knees feel better and a bit more stable in the squat. But then after your front squat and vertical pull superset, you're going to move into some walking lunges, dumbbell rows, and kettlebell swings to finish the day. Now, as far as the squat and vertical pull are being trained, it's a pretty basic protocol. What'll happen is on the squat, for the first 4 weeks, you're going to spam sets of 6 to 8 in the 18-minute block. And then in the latter half of it, you're going to spam sets of 4 to 6 in the 18-minute block. And then in between every single set of the squats, you're going to go do your vertical pull. And you're just going to do each set until you have 3 quality reps in the tank. So you could do chin-ups, you could do pull-ups, you could do assisted, you could do weighted. All really depends on how good you are at the vertical pull. I like this superset a lot too because it's a good stretch for the low back and it just keeps you locked in and focused rather than simply lollygagging. You got 18 minutes, so make it count. Additionally, if you are feeling good on your squats, don't worry about adding a little bit of weight after a few sets. And if you're feeling like trash, maybe rest a little bit longer or bring the weight down a little bit. And then it's the kettlebell swing program here. The kettlebell swings are in, again, just for conditioning, but they're also really good for helping develop your hinge pattern and doing it on repeat. It'll also help develop your grip, upper back, and cardiovascular health, obviously. You want to base this off 15 to 20% of your raw deadlift max. And if your kettlebells don't go heavy enough, I strongly suggest investing in a plate-loaded swing handle. There are tons of options available. The MB Power Center Power Pin would be my highest recommendation. Now, something worth mentioning here is you'll see on weeks 2, 5, and 7 alternating. So what that means is you do a set of 5, the next set would be a set of 8, then a set of 5, and then a set of 8. This is just a way of step loading the swing. Alrighty, in the final day of the training week, it will be the log lift, a 60-degree incline press with the implement of your choice, 30-degree incline flies, kettlebell hammer curls, dumbbell overhead tricep extensions, and then some banded curls and banded tricep press downs. Again, for the curl and overhead triceps, you can do an optional superset. Just depends on which progressions you like and what you have access to. So the log itself is going to be trained on a bi-weekly max effort model, and the idea here is you're actually going to switch between a viper press and a clean and press away. So on the odd weeks, you're working up to a heavy top set with the log 1 motion. Now the reason I have this in the program is I found for folks who ran the original Conjugate Kaiju, it helped them continue to improve their pressing power while also improving triple extension and helping maintain their conditioning levels. So I think it slots in really nicely here because again, the 40-degree incline press on the upper developmental day is going to be the primary driver of mass gains. And then on even weeks, you're going to be doing a log clean and press away. And what you're going to do is take last week's top set and plus minus 10%, you'll do sets across. So then if you're feeling good, you can go a little heavier. If you're feeling terrible, you go a little bit lighter. It just allows you to auto-regulate based off how you're feeling. Here's just a quick overview of the various accessory progressions. Again, if you just grab the PDF, you won't have to worry about screenshotting any of this. And then really quickly here, this is the optional spreadsheet that's available for the program. And how it works is you just type in the relevant number in your teal cells. So for example, your deadlift 1 RM, your incline press 1 RM, your log clean and press 1 RM. And then your desired box squat starting percentage as well as your squat of choice 1 RM. You only type in these teal cells, otherwise you're going to break it. So for example, I have some numbers here, 635 deadlift, a 200 incline press, and a 230 log. So then right here, it'll actually give you suggested top sets for the deadlift based off of these figures. And then on the deadlift stance box squat, this is really nice because what'll happen here is you can type in how many reps you attained, and then it will auto adjust for the following week based off of your performance, a suggested load jump. So that helps take some of the guesswork out of it. And then you'll see here on the incline press, these weeks are adjusted based off of this number here, as well as suggested load jumps. And then the final week, it suggests what your top set of 4 at RPE 8 should be. Again, by this point in the game, it'll probably be a little bit higher, but this gives you a reference point. Day 3, if you type in your squat rep of choice, you'll see here, drop that, and then it's going to adjust all these numbers. And then additionally, the kettlebell swing will adjust based off of your deadlift. Same thing with the Viper press. So for example, let's say you have a log of 300 pounds. Now you've got a suggested top set for your Viper press, as well as your loading delta for the clean and press away days. So that really wraps it up. Again, the PDF is 100% free. If you click the link down below in the description box, you'll be taken to a link where you can grab it. Again, I send these out manually, so it might take me a bit to get back to you, but I will send it to you. And if you want a spreadsheet, let me know. We can make that happen. But that's all I got for you folks. Hopefully you find this one useful. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll see you in the next video.